I was doing this technique to make the unloading easier for me, okay? I wasn't thinking about her or what she would gain from this, really. I dropped it again for the second time. So embarrassed. I kept thinking, why would I do this? Hey, hi, and hello, Angelisa here, your host for Braap Babes Throttle Talk. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the biggest mistake that I've witnessed and experienced as a novice and seasoned rider that I believe we need to be aware of. Before we continue with the show, I am running a contest over here on my podcast for this month, October 1st. Of 2024 to Halloween, November 31st of 2024. So what you will win is a Braap Babes coffee mug, Inhale Exhale notebook designed by me, and a new t-shirt graphic also designed by me. So here's what you need to do. You need to follow Braap Babes Throttle Talk podcast on either Apple or Spotify. Make sure you tap on that follow button. Number 2, leave a rating. 5-star would be amazing, but I'll let you decide. Number 3 is leave a review. Okay, so once you've left that review, this is what you need to do. You need to screenshot that review, and then you need to send it over to me. You need to message me over on Instagram, which is at Angelisa Edwards. And then bonus points is if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you tell me that in the message as well on Instagram. So send me the screenshot of your review on this podcast and then tell me you subscribed on my YouTube channel. So this contest is going until October 31st, and I will announce the winner on November 1st. This is so exciting. I'm going to make this into a series for the next 3 months. So every month you get a chance to win some special Braap Babe stuff because it's not on the market, especially the new stuff that I'm designing. All right, let's get into the show. So the number one mistake that seasoned riders make is, are you ready? Demonstrating advanced techniques. I am so guilty of this, and I need to share 2 stories that have happened to me. And I'm going to explain in a little bit more detail. So one of the stories is of recent as a seasoned rider. And what is a seasoned rider? Well, basically it's a rider that has put in a lot of seat time, have gone on a lot of trail rides, and have experience riding, whether it's snowmobile or dirt bikes, right? But in my case, we're going to talk about dirt biking. And so I do call myself a seasoned rider. And I'm going to share this story, which is going to lead to another story of when I was a novice beginner rider. Okay. So about a month ago, I took a novice rider, dirt bike rider, out to experience one of our single track trails here in BC, Canada. And it was during the week. It was a weekday. And I was in a bit of a time crunch. I was limited on time due to school pickup. Brand new to me, Billy's in school, kindergarten, you know the story. And so I was already feeling kind of like high strung about being back at a certain time to pick her up because I think it was the first week of school. Because I was feeling so rushed to begin with, I made a ton of mistakes taking my new friend out with me. Okay, so number 1 is I picked her up. We loaded her dirt bike, which wasn't a problem loading her dirt bike. But my number 1 mistake in that is not tying her dirt bike down. So I didn't strap it down in the proper loopholes on my flatbed truck. To paint a picture, I drive a flatbed. If you haven't seen the Braap Babes mobile, it's a truck without the bed of a truck. So it's just completely flat. Okay, so I drove her bike up to load it up. I was able to, strap my dirt bike down properly, but when it came to hers, I just missed this one step and I didn't put the straps onto one of the hooks that you're supposed to when you strap down 2 bikes. Okay. So we're driving, we get near to the parking lot of the zone we were going to, but about like 30 feet away, it's pretty bumpy. It's, an FSR road, and her dirt bike falls down. While it falls down, her seat, is up against my bike, and it gets a cut in her seat because of my peg. So the peg sliced open her dirt bike seat. And I just felt so awful when this happened. So anyways, we got her dirt bike back up. We, ratchet strap it even tighter. And then we drive to the parking lot. So once we parked, I unloaded my dirt bike first. And when I came back up onto my flatbed to take her dirt bike down, I wanted to do this as easy as possible. Okay. Because her dirt bike fell, it did spill some of the gas. So the gas leaked out from her dirt bike, and the truck bed is pretty slippery. If you haven't experienced my flatbed, there are some sled tracks on there, but then there's parts where it's just slick. Like if it gets wet, you're sliding all over the place. So because there was gas spilled from her dirt bike, it was pretty slippery. And as I was up there, I wanted to make this unload as smooth as possible so we weren't wasting time. I find walking down ramps backwards to be really time consuming and just like hard on my back, and I just don't like it. I've put in so many years of unloading dirt bikes like this that I just want things to be easy. This has been kind of a word for me this year, is I want things to be easy. I don't want to fight with big machines anymore. And I know that's not possible being under 5 feet, but I just want things as easy as possible. So I try to do things as easy as possible for future Ange, Anyways, that's the side note. But because I was avoiding walking backwards on my ramp, I just wanted, things to be easier. Her dirt bike is a lot heavier for me and taller for me, okay? But I wanted this load to be easy. Let's just say that my patience was getting the best of me because I was already feeling rushed to be back in town for school pickup. So as I was up on my flatbed of my truck, I moved her bike around as best as I could because her TTR 230 is super heavy. So I did struggle a little bit, to get her dirt bike in a good spot, or at least a spot I thought was good enough. And while I was up on the bed truck, I decided to teach my friend a maneuver that I use all the time to unload my dirt bike. And that is putting the kickstand down, leaning the dirt bike into my hips towards me, rotating that bike 180 degrees while it's on the kickstand. This way, I have the front wheel facing the ramp, and I'm able to hop on my dirt bike and drive it down. So let's pause here. I was doing this technique to make the unloading easier for me, okay? I wasn't thinking about her or what she would gain from this, really. I did tell her in the moment that she could use this technique in the trails if she needed to turn on a tight trail, but I didn't think to stop and ask myself, is this something I should even be showing her, or I should even bring up? And she hasn't been on a trail yet, so how would she know when or how to do this maneuver when she needed it? She needed the experience to understand, right? So as I was demonstrating this technique, I put her kickstand down and I tilted her bike onto my hip. The dirt bike was heavy, as mentioned, and I continued rotating her dirt bike, right? I'm rotating it, I get it 90 degrees, and as I was rotating, I watched the front wheel hover off of my flatbed truck. So if you're watching over on YouTube, let's pretend that my hand is the flatbed, right? There's no edges to the flatbed. And so I'm rotating her bike, and then all of a sudden I see her front wheel come off of the bed, right? But the kickstand, everything else, like the back end, is on the flatbed. So her wheel goes past hovers over nothing past the flatbed truck. And I stared at that, and then I felt the kickstand kind of slide because the truck bed is greasy from the gas spilt, and I couldn't hold it. I could not hold her bike. Again, heavy, way too heavy for me, and I lost it. The front wheel went off the truck, and her dirt bike was on its side on the bike, so I dropped it again for the second time. I think maybe even the third time. I think it's second time. So the dirt bike hasn't even touched dirt yet, and it has fallen down twice. To give you a bit more of a visual of how the bike looked, the front wheel and handlebars were hanging off of the truck, and the back end of the dirt bike was on the flatbed. Okay. We tried to lift it. Oh my God, we couldn't. I panicked. I was panicking in my head and being like, what the F, Ange? Like, why? What the fuck? What the fuck? What did you do? Like, what are you even doing? Clearly you have no idea what you're going on. Oh my God, all of these things. So we're trying to bring her bike back onto the flatbed, and I had to come onto the ground, get off the flatbed, come onto the ground and start pushing, doing an overhead squat to lift her wheel up. Again, this bike is not light. It is so heavy. As I was squatting and pushing overhead with this dirt bike, my friend was able to, pull and drag the bike back onto the flatbed. So after a few of those overhead squats, we were able to get the bike back up onto the flatbed truck, and now the front wheel was facing down. Okay, so we got her bike back up on two wheels and put the kickstand down, kind of reassessed, and we tried turning on her bike. It's not going. Because her TTR 230 fell a bunch before even hitting the ground, we couldn't turn her bike on. Her e-start wasn't working. And I thought, oh my God, if we don't get onto a trail, like I'm going to die. Like, I am trying to get this girl out for her very first time. I wanted to give her that experience. And yeah, anyways, I busted out my tools. Thank God I had tools. Okay. Always have tools on you. But I busted out my tools, and I was able to take off some plastics and get access to her battery. And we were able to connect these wires together. There was a loose screw. That's the reason why the connectors weren't sparking to get her e-start to go. So we had to, maneuver, do some, what is it called? MacGyvering. Anyways, we were able to get her e-start to work. Thank God. Oh my God. I'm so happy we were able to do this. And once we got her bike started, I then was able to drive her bike down my ramp, which is what I wanted in the first place. Again, wanted to have this as easy as possible. So about an hour later of figuring out her bike, it was probably 45 minutes, right? Trying to unload, having this chaos situation happen, and then all of a sudden her dirt bike's not working, having to figure that out. We had about an hour left to ride. That being said, we still had to drive 7K on an FSR road just to get into the trails. So I am pushing it. I am rushing, okay? But I'm going to stop there, because as I was going through this whole situation, I was so embarrassed. I kept thinking, why would I do this? Why would I do this on somebody else's bike? She didn't ask me how to do it, how to unload. I just did it. Now, if I am driving other people, if I am using my truck, I will load and unload their bikes, because I know that a lot of people don't feel comfortable loading and unloading on other people's trucks, which is fine. But I think the next time, moving forward, I'm going to ask them, would you like to unload and I will support you? Or I'm going to do it the way where we back it down, not driving it. We're going to back it down, walk beside it, and have the other person hold the back wheel. Doesn't matter how many times I have done this before, how many times I've unloaded. That's just how we're going to be doing it moving forward. So yes, I was trying to make it easier for myself, but I should never do this type of technique or maneuver on somebody else's bike that I have no right or experience on their dirt bike, right? I have no clue on how their dirt bike feels or rides. And good thing, again, that I had the tools to fix her bike, because I would have cried if we couldn't have taken her out to experience a single track trail. I just felt so bad about the entire situation. Because of this experience, it actually got me thinking about another experience I had when I was a beginner rider, and I was on the other side of this situation. So back in 2017, I attended one of my very first dirt bike social rides. I actually think it's 2016, but regardless, I attended one of my very first dirt bike social rides, and after the ride, my friend and I that went together to the social ride, we already had like a system going. We unloaded and unloaded by helping each other out. I would stand on top of the truck bed, and she would run with her dirt bike in neutral up the ramp. I would catch her dirt bike, her front tire, and then we would slowly get the bikes into the bed of the truck. And that's what worked for us. That's what we were teaching ourselves, and we were totally okay with it. Yes, loading and unloading was like the big part. Like I would say it was the nerve-wracking part, because we were either dead or arms are dead after the rides, but we always got through that. And like I said, we just came up with a system and it was working for us. So when we went to the social ride, we were about to load our dirt bikes. And I remember a more experienced, seasoned rider. She came up and she took one of our dirt bikes, like literally grabbed it out of our hands and tried to drive while standing beside the bike. She turned on the bike and tried to drive it up this sled ramp. And as she was doing it, the sled ramp collapsed and it just came out from underneath her. And then I remember seeing her kind of get flustered, and then she was embarrassed and then was like, oh, I didn't realize that, you had this type of ramp. Thank goodness she was okay, right? But I just remember thinking, well, we didn't ask your help. We weren't struggling, we had a system. And it just kind of threw me and my friend off at the time to see someone else like try to manhandle our dirt bikes when they have no clue on how our dirt bikes drive and what other obstacles they might be facing while trying to load and unload dirt bikes. So in our case, it was sled decks, not sled decks. It was sled ramps that we were driving or pushing our bikes over into the bed of the truck. We didn't feel comfortable driving. These are our partners. These trucks are I'm going to have a tongue twist here. These trucks are our partners' trucks, right? They're our husbands. And the last thing we want to do is fuck up their trucks and them get all pissed off about it, right? So we did things a certain way so that we wouldn't damage the dirt bikes, we wouldn't damage the trucks, the sled ramps, that sort of thing. So having somebody else try to manhandle and thinking they know how to load bikes wasn't, it just wasn't the case. And I remember her feeling a bit embarrassed about it. And so with that story, it just hit me that day when I had that experience of being a seasoned rider. It came full circle, and I was demonstrating something for another rider when she didn't ask. So it's funny how life works. And let's just say the friend that I did take out, a month ago when I had this really shitty situation, she was so cool about it and super chill and just kept saying, oh, this is part of the experience. Oh my God, I absolutely love her. I was completely devastated, and it really rocked me for a good week after our ride. So I ordered her a new seat cover because I just feel so embarrassed and like bad about the whole situation. But I must add, to end it on a good note, once we did get our dirt bikes running, we were able to get into the trails. It was super magical. We saw an owl, and it was her very first time on a trail ride, and she absolutely crushed it. And I love seeing women try new things when it comes to like single track or getting out of their comfort zone, and she absolutely crushed it. The moral of my story is when you do take out beginners or novice riders, be patient, right? Let them do their own thing when it comes to loading or unloading their dirt bikes. And if they ask for help, then help them, or you can also offer your help as well if you feel that they might be struggling. But I think it's fair that we should always give these beginners or novice riders a chance to figure it out and to give tidbits of information or advice like when they ask. That's something that I was really worried about, is that my actions were going to impact this new friend of mine, and that I was going to scare her. I was going to lower her confidence, and I wanted none of it. And so that is why I want to make sure I do things right for the next time. Let me know if you've experienced this as a novice rider, or if you had a situation where your more advanced maneuvers failed while demonstrating it to your friends. I hope I'm not the only one. Lessons have been learned, and something that I needed to be taught for myself, okay? Let my mistake be a lesson to you. Don't forget about the contest that is happening this month. So get on it, go rate and review this podcast. I would absolutely love it and appreciate it. And as always, keep killing it safely, and I'll catch you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in today's show. Please rate and review this podcast. I would forever be thankful and grateful. Share it with your friends, family, and whoever you feel would enjoy these types of conversations in the dirt bike, snowmobile, and motorsports community. If you are looking to support the show, I do have a few affiliate links in the show notes. And if you're looking for some confidence in the digital space, learning how to brand yourself, edit your epic sends, and just being the vibe, being your true self, your authentic self, shoot me a message. You can reach me over on my website, angelisaedwards.com. And as always, I am rooting for you, and keep killing it safely, and I'll see you next week.